you have coming up? Because
Well,
you're laying low right now, but
I know, I'm just kicking back.
we're
I'm
going to
enjoying
change
it.
that. I've already decided.
I've been doing a lot of appearances, so I've been traveling doing that, and I have 2 movies that are in pre-production, so I have those that I'm working on. I'm playing a therapist in one, and then...
That should be interesting.
I know. It'll be really fun, and then going back and playing the escort in another one.
What kind of roles do you get, Sarah? When you're getting scripts, what do you think they're looking at you as?
The typical... The dumb blonde role, and so
But
I
that's
kind
not
of
you.
It's not, so that's why I'm really excited for this therapist role, because I told my agent, I was like, I kind of want to step back from it for a while, just to try something different. I mean, that's easy, you know, playing dumb blonde, that's easy.
Yeah.
Give me something challenging.
You like doing interviews, though, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. I like being on both ends too.
It's good to go back and forth. They feed each other.
Yes.
That's why I want both of you to do stuff for us, which will be really, really enhanced.
Definitely.
Because all of a sudden they start, oh, we didn't know she can do that, but you have it on your resume that you can do that. They just don't pay attention to those things.
Well, it's been over a few years, you know, like it wasn't all at once. It was kind of a transition over the last 5-6 years.
Well, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, so,
yeah,
you know.
exactly.
I say it takes 20 to be an overnight success.
So, you know, it's good that you're getting your
we're
feelers
getting
out there.
there.
I love it.
Totally.
I love it.
Now, we haven't heard your story yet. Tell us something interesting. And I want to know some of your favorite movies, too, because get ready, you guys. I always ask that question.
You know what I love when we first met? We probably had a discussion about music and movies on the boat. So my background, I've worked with Dave for a number of years. I've spent about 21 or 2 years in the music business, doing various things. But getting back to working with Dave and Omega, I'm going to say something that Dave's probably going to laugh. But you know, when he talked about this earlier, but looking at the client's complete life, you know, there's a lot of times where firms will come in and they didn't necessarily understand that they're trying to brand themselves. And how did security play into that? Because there was such a mentality of this militaristic kind of, this is the type of security we're going to be. And when I met Dave a number of years ago, and I started seeing how they approached the client, and it was the total amalgamation of their life. You know, what is their business? What is their brand? And I have this line that we always say, you know, we're the white glove concierge ninjas. You know, at the end of the day, we are a ninja, but the majority of work that we're doing is that concierge and presenting that customer service. Obviously, security is paramount. That is never neglected in any way, but that's we know is covered. And so it was, what's the other added value? So, you know, looking at someone like you, it's and understanding, you know, what you're doing and the roles you're going for. So we take a look at your life, you know, could be your home, looking for threats, you know, and we take the whole thing. Is she married? Does she have kids? You know, how do you want to be portrayed in the media? And we take all that into account and sit down and discuss that with you so that we put the most comprehensive security plan that absolutely keeps you safe, gives you peace of mind, and lets you build your brand and live your life. And that's what I love about Omega. And so, though I've done a number of things through my career, which has put me all over the world, looking at this business and what Dave and Eddie have built, it was easy for me to want to jump and be a part of and be a family. And so I've been with them for a number of years, and we've worked with some of, you know, the highest profile celebrities through social media, and have had that opportunity to you know, specialized security for them. And so that's what gets us to this place where we've been talking today and outside about social media. Unfortunately, it's not going to go away. It's not going to change. And people aren't always going to be responsible because they just don't have the experience, the knowledge, or the maturity to know it, which gives Dave and I a lot of business. So knowing that, we try and educate, but the reality is we're not going to be able to educate everybody. And it's just important, those that we can, that we do. And so I'm excited, though, to talk about movies as well.
Favorite movie?
You know, favorite movie, that's an easy one, Goonies, for sure. I mean, anybody that doesn't love the Goonies is, that's just ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah. But, you know, and then I'll switch right to Godfather and obviously Goodfellas, and then go back to Chunk and, you know. But, you know, of the current movies out right now, there's a couple of the new ones I still have to see. I just saw Mad Max.
Did you like it?
You know, I have a couple opinions on that. One, it was very entertaining, but if you're of our age bracket and of our genre, you know, obviously we grew up with the Mad Max that was Mel Gibson and that story. So going into it, you have this this preconceived idea of, I just want to see a greater version of that remade. Obviously, they took a different approach in the story, same characters. So I was disappointed just because I wanted to see that same story. That being said, it was visually stunning. I thought Charlize Theron did a great job. But after seeing it, I kind of realized, I was like, the dialogue, there wasn't a lot. I mean, if you stripped the movie down and just wanted to hear the line, there wasn't a lot. So I understood that it was a visually stunning movie, but there wasn't, and certainly the story was acute, but there wasn't a lot of dialogue. After I saw it, I was just like, well, I was entertained. It was a lot of action.
You know what I liked about that? I found, going back to the 4E system, my 4Es, I found it entertaining. It was enthusiastic. I was really excited because of Charlize Theron, because of that lead, that female lead.
Sure.
I think we need to see more female leads doing a lot of things in there. That's my opinion, but I think Hollywood's doing that, and we really want to change that for women in the roads, in their roles, just having more engaging conversations like that, and picking those great projects where you can play one thing. Why can't you play a therapist or play a president or something like that? The answer is you can. That's why you go into acting, right?
Exactly.
I can't act to save my life, but I know good performances when I see them. That's the good thing about that. But I loved it because I thought it was going to be exactly like the older one. And so I was like, wow, that like blew me away.
Sure.
So I thought it was really interesting.
And even though, you know, I said it was limited dialogue, the dialogue that they did was great. I can't remember the lead actor's name, the gentleman, Tom. Yeah, him. I did see him recently in a movie that he did last year, the last movie he did with James Gandolfini, called The Drop, I think.
Yeah.
And I was blown away. Absolutely stunned at his performance.
He's a great actor. He's above the up and comers now. He's gonna be that leading man.
Anytime you can see a movie, and credit to the director, because the movie was grainy and dark, and you had this emotional content from it, but his delivery, you initially think he's going to be this tough guy, and he certainly is, but he does it in such a humble way that you find yourself endeared to this guy, even when he's, you know, committing these atrocious acts as a human being. I found myself rooting for this guy.
You know, one of the things it's like, if you're a friend of mine, I'm always very, very careful of what I share. One, it's important to share it, but it's also, should I share this? Because I don't know who those future people may be. That's my one issue. But at the same time, I want to promote my friends that they're doing good things, and I like what they're doing, whether it's in the world of dressage, or the world of fitness, or in the movie world. I'm always thinking about that. Like, you haven't seen a post from me in like 5 days. And we've been doing great stuff, because I have to be careful what we're doing until everything's announced. And then even then I've got to, like, okay, what can we put up? And now that we have youthful people coming in who post everything, I'm even more concerned now. Suggestions?
Yeah, well, as getting back to the brand, as we talked, is some of the younger talent that's coming up, they don't have a branding aspect. They just want to get out there and have the quick, fast track to success in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
You know, the entertainment industry, we're all in it some way, some form, either in front of the camera or behind the camera. It's very fruitful, but at the same time, there's pitfalls, and there's things that come with being famous. And for the youth, they need to be aware when they post something, just like we talked about in real time, you can't get that back. Is the bad guy following you? Was it an inappropriate post? We see that all the time. You see on the news where these kids are posting things. The parents are upset that they're posting provocative photos. They're doing some crazy act that may harm them in the future when their career actually gets going. So you have to take that into consideration.
Talk about your partner, Eddie. I like him. Eddie's just a great guy. He looks like a cop, walks like a cop, acts like one, but he's a great guy. But I wouldn't want to mess with Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie's a great guy. He's obviously on assignment right now. I couldn't make it, but he's very humble. At the same time, he's a world-class investigator. So any type of backgrounds that we need on somebody, he can find out very fast.
Yeah, thank you, Eddie, for finding me too, because no one knew who the hell I was. That was nutty. 5 diamond experience. That's a great tagline. Talk about that. Why that's important. And your business is triple too, hasn't it?
Yes, we're getting really busy. One thing that we noticed in our industry, our backgrounds in the security industry, everybody has military and law enforcement. That's not a differentiator. So we had to look at our industry. What is missing in the security industry, especially when you're dealing with high net worth, when you're dealing with celebrities? We found the #1 complaint that clients had was the customer service side. The security was too rigid. They were not. They were making us feel uncomfortable. And you know, I love a quote from Coco Chanel that says, "Luxury should be comfortable. If it's not comfortable, it's not luxury." Well, we make our clients feel comfortable, and that has retained our clients. We provide exceptional level of customer service. We want guys who can wear the white gloves, be an ambassador at the Five Diamond Hotel, be a greeter, have smile on their face, make you feel comfortable. The macho-ness of the bodyguard, that's old school. That's burning out really fast, and we're here to retain clients and get referred, and we get that a lot.
You know, one of the other things I liked about, and I tell this to almost everybody daily, literally daily about you guys, is that you can also have undercover who may be escorts, which I think is important. Also, in-home, making sure your in-home is secured from everything. You actually have a fire marshal come in. Talk about that.
Yeah, we do. We're a full-service firm, so we do.
Natalie, you'll like this.
We do quite a bit. Everything from special events to luxury estates to brokers' open houses, which is big nowadays. And when we get a new client, we start with an assessment. We look at where their place of residence is at, where they work at, who they are. We start Googling them, find as much information as we can, and then we'll actually walk their property and see where their vulnerability points are at. And then that includes, because we see a security aspect of it, but we'll also bring a fire marshal that'll see another side that looks at, their storing of chemicals in the garage, their sprinkler systems up to par. We look at emergency management. A lot of these clients, they'll have a full-blown staff at their house of 12 people. They train in first aid and CPR. If there is an emergency on the site, what do? Have they been trained? Do they know how to swim? Most of these large homes have large pools. We come to find out some of the staff don't even know how to swim. So those are things that we look at from protecting the client, and again, we're there for added value. The clients are busy, they're in their career, they don't have time to worry about the day-to-day or the security side of it. So we come in and we provide that peace of mind and work with the blind spots, and we make sure that they're much more secure.
Natalie, one of the things I was always concerned for you about is that you are that figure where people recognize you, and sometimes they think you are that character. They forget that you can really act. You are not, you're just playing someone. That's not necessarily you, and that's not you. Talk about that aspect.
Yeah, Kristen and I actually talked about that a lot. It's pretty interesting. So I mean, I try to keep, that's a good thing about social media for me, is that people can see that that's not actually who I am or, what I do. So that's the positive side for it, but it is strange, like, to get that across to people,
You do have many talents.
Of course, we all do.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. We were talking about earlier. We had a great conversation earlier in the green room talking about things off mic. This world is it's not what it used to be, but I have a feeling it was always like that. You just didn't know
that's
it was
exactly
like that.
Yeah. Now we're aware. Talk about awareness. Now we are aware of just how many creeps and how many sketchy people there really are out there, and it's so unfortunate because it does bring. But the thing is it just brings as much light to the good as the bad, though, and I guess it's just a matter of, like you said, using that power, using the power of social media to shed light on the right things instead of the wrong things, and kind of to use that as a soapbox, like we said earlier.
Last fitness competition, talk about that. She's thinking about it because she speaks her mind, which is why I like her.
No, she wants to eat. When you say that, she thinks about what you probably couldn't eat.
You know what I'm going to tell you is that it's such a matter of perspective. You're getting up there on stage in the limelight, in front of hundreds, thousands, depending on how many people are so putting this on social media, and you're under a scrutiny that most people are not willing to put themselves under, and you hold yourself as a victim to this scrutiny, and you welcome it and you embrace it. You can do it you can handle it all kinds of different ways. But it's interesting mentally what you go through as a competitor when you either know you put 100% in or you didn't put 100% in. It's hard for me to stay politically correct when discussing things of this nature because a lot of things come into play, like sponsors and money and who puts in what and the politics and who's on what team
and what they want in return.
What they want in return, and and you never know what they are looking for. So sometimes if you're there's different levels of competitive of the competition. So there's different categories. So there's bikini and there's figure and there's physique and bodybuilding in the women's categories. And so one is kind of, you know, fit but not really muscular, more just kind of bikini, overall bikini beach body. And the next one's going to be figure, and that's going to have a little bit more muscle, a little leaner.
And which one are you?
I'm figure. I'm in between figure and bikini, which is why I compete a lot with the WBFF. That's why it's like the main federation that I compete with, because they have fitness, which is in between. You know, you have the bikini butt and physique and figure shoulders. You know, so you have the back, you have the muscle, you have the lines, but you're not so lean that you. It's just different. It's a middle category. So anyway, so. You know, because I had girls competing in the bikini category at the Venice competition, I went ahead and did figure. And so I had more muscle than, I allowed myself to have a little more size on me for this show. And, you know, it's just funny. I was actually the only one in my category. So I took first for my category. So everyone was like, oh my God, she took first place. And I'm thinking, you know, I posted that I was the only one in my class, but everyone's still congratulating me like I just won the championship, you know, the overall title. And so, you know, I was looking, you know, so in between, you do your prejudging and you do your finals. And so in between, I was looking at the girls who, there was short, medium, and tall class. And so for me, I knew I was first in the medium class, and there was only one person in the tall class, so the two of us got first place. We're going to go up for overall. So I'm looking at the girls who are in the short class. I'm thinking, oh God, that girl looks amazing, and this girl looks amazing. And these are for sure going to be the two girls that I'm going to be, one of them is going to be the one that I'm going up against for overall. And gosh, you know, she looks great. I would love to come in next to her, like after her. Like I wouldn't mind. If someone has the physique, and you can tell they put in the work, and I really hadn't. I hadn't put in 100% for the show, and I knew it. It was more for fun for me. And I praised her, and I said, you know, good luck, you know, and I really honestly believed that she was the one who I was going to be competing against. And when the girl who won first took first, and she had less muscle than the girl who took first in bikini, it kind of threw, I mean, everybody kind of just sat there. There was like crickets, kind of, you know, and then, oh, good, you know, and she looked great. She did. She looked great. She had nice legs. She had nice shape. She was just very, very, very thin and not developed in any way. Now, mind you, I was at way too high body fat percentage, so I'm not upset that I lost to her. I'm proud of her for getting on stage, and I'm proud of all the athletes that competed, and I wish the best to everybody always, but I was just so devastated for the girls who really deserved to be on that platform going up for overall, and they didn't get that chance. And so I messaged them myself privately, because I just felt like they needed to know that they looked amazing, and that you could tell that they were first place contenders, and regardless of what the judges said or thought or did or whatever was promoted, they looked amazing. Because this, like I said, this can be so mentally exhausting. Barbaric. I mean, when it comes down to it, like these girls are getting body dysmorphia, like, oh my gosh, I was at 8%, I wasn't lean enough, and so now they're walking around wanting to be at 6, 8, 9% body fat, you know, and it's so unhealthy for women. Like, women need to be, for their metabolism and their hormones and everything to be even slightly balanced, they need to be at like 12% walking around, and you only cut down for the shows, but these girls are like, oh my gosh, I was so much better looking on stage, I have to stay like this all the time, and it just gets to be, and so that's kind of where I come in, and I kind of, you know, step in and say, okay, well, let's get you back down to where we're supposed to be at health-wise and everything like that, because, you know, it does. And so anyway, so I have thought a lot about this last competition, and it's kind of changed my direction and where I kind of want to go, because, you know, I want to be a part of the change of the people who are, you know, wanting to be fit, wanting to be healthy, but not necessarily wanting to, but want to compete, but in a healthier way. You know, not necessarily, and keep their minds right through the process. But
her backstory is that she needed something to do, which has kind of got her into fitness, and then she ended up doing well. She left that part out. You got to talk about that, because that's important. That's the inspiration.
The really long, the really short version of a very, very long story is, I was addicted to drugs. I was in and out of prison. I finally got a chance to go into a 6-month rehabilitation center where I was, you know, live in. And it changed my life, and I was able to get off of a bunch of medication that I was on for anxiety and bipolar and manic depression and all these kinds of things that they kind of immediately feed you pills for. And I felt like I was detoxing whenever I would miss a dose. You know, whenever I'd miss my pills, I would feel like I was detoxing off these drugs. And I was like, I didn't get clean to feel like this, you know. And so I went to the doctors. They said, no, you're way too effed up to get off any of your meds. You need to stay on them, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, you know, I just can't do this. And so I did lie, and I lied to my counselors, and I told them that, you know, and I forged some stuff, and I made it so that I could actually detox off of my meds, and we started, you know, halving doses, and I started walking every day on a treadmill that they had downstairs, and slowly but surely that treadmill became, you know, I was walking a mile to jogging 3 miles to, then before you know it, of course, my addictive behavior took over, and I was running 8 to 10 miles a day, you know. but you know, in all of that, it was naturally increasing my serotonin and learning how to chemically balance myself naturally, and leaning on faith and leaning on, you know, the food, and realizing how much my hormones and my food and what I intake and all the sugars and all the different things were just like affecting my brain just like crack, and knowing that, you know, these are the things that I had to change. There was very few things that I had control over, and the few things I had control over were what go in my mouth, what come out of my mouth, and what I do. You know, what I do with my body on a daily basis. And
that's almost like any woman when it comes to eating, isn't it? You get judged on how you look, unfortunately, and if you gain too much weight.
And it's so not about that. You know, right now I'm going through some issues with my kidneys and stuff, and so like I said, I'm trying to compete in the healthiest way possible. That means I'm on 60, 70, 80 grams max of protein a day. And these bodybuilders, these competitive girls, they're on 150, 180 grams of protein a day. And it's like, okay, whatever. So I'm not going to look like them. And I have to be okay with that. I'm going to be a little thicker on bottom. I'm totally okay with that. But, you know,
I think I'm okay with that, too.
I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? But I'm doing my best. And so that's my thing is I want everyone to do their best. I want to help you do your best. Like, are you really putting in at least 99% effort? Like, that 1%, like, everybody has to have that 1%. I don't care what Emma says, put in 100%. Yes, but then there's no balance. There's no boundaries. There's no, you know, you're 100% in, and it's like that one little percent keeps you kind of grounded. It keeps you like, you know what, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be your best, you know, and then you show me someone who is 100% in everything, and we'll, you know, we'll name them, we'll put them on a little platter, and we'll serve them out to everybody, but it's, you know, so anyway, so, you know, so for me, it's just comes down to, you know, being able to, like I said, find a balance, set boundaries, be, you know, I'm at a loss right now. I just get so overwhelmed.
Do you think it's, I mean, almost a public perception, though, because, I mean, thinking back to, like, Corey Everson days, right, and her physique, versus the Miss Olympia now,
and Rachel McClish.
And we're going to stop right there. We're going to come back with that because I love Corey Everson. I love Rachel too. This is Brian Sebastian. It's Movie Reviews and More. We'll be right back right after this. All right, we are back. This is Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More. We're going around real quick. Before we get to that story, Natalie, give a website, Twitter, Instagram for you.
It's all at Natalie Skyy. That's NATALIESKYY. My website's the same, natalieskyy.com.
David, your website?
OmegaINT.us.
Jennifer?
Raw Image is my Instagram, and Fit Mind, Body, and Spirit is my personal Instagram.
Natalie, when you were at, because you're doing a lot of, you do a lot of signings, don't you, around the country?
Yeah,
What's your worst fear when you're going? All you know, yeah, okay, I'm going to go and get paid to go do this. This will be great. And then you get there and you see the audiences and they know you as that character. And that's what they know, you as that character. And then they want to take a picture of you.
Well, see, when I travel, I do things a little different because the other people that I travel with, they like to go and still be in their character. You know, that's who these people know. And I go the exact opposite. That's the character I played, but that's not who I am. So you're not going to see me in a little dress or a bathing suit standing on stage meeting people. But it's interesting. I mean, I love it, and I love meeting the fans, and everyone's always great. I haven't had any bad experiences, you know, yet, knock on wood. But you don't know who you're dealing with, you know? You don't. Yeah. Like, there's conventions, and, you know, it's just people from that area who are security. You know, I always make sure I have someone traveling with me, but it's still pretty scary.
David, how do you, what do you think about security, convention security and stuff like that? Like when we're at hotels, I mean, I know the guys and sometimes they look at me, it's suspicious, they've been seeing me for years. And I'm like, why are you treating me like this? And I'm like, okay, well, that's your job. What do you think about that when you're at a hotel or a convention, they have their own people there?
Well, there's you know, I don't want to say anything bad about other securities or other, you know, private entities. Everybody has different levels of security. You know, some of these conventions have people that are paid maybe a minimum wage, and you're going to get probably minimum wage results. And there's other places that they pay their staff very well. So sometimes it's what you get, it's what you pay for.
Well, I find that to be the case most of the time, but that's general rule.
Yeah, but that's not one of those things that you want to try and save
Control,
money on.
yeah.
You don't want. I mean, he's right. I mean, again, not to speak disparagingly against anybody, but if the guy's making minimum wage, I mean, how much is he really going to do for you if there's a threat? We spend a lot of time training and being prepared, and not. You can be good at something, and then if you just repeat that for the next 20 years, you don't really progress. So, David always emphasizes we're always training, we're always, being caught up on the latest, so that we're not being complacent with, what we know. We're growing daily, just like everybody else. And so when you bring that to security, we're always looking, because as your audience is doing things differently, we have to also have that same type of approach and able to meet that, depending on how they're stalking you or what they're doing. And what we do is we want to give people peace of mind because of our situational awareness, that we're there for you so that you can do what your job is. And we're looking around, and again, if you've got the guy making minimum wage, he's probably waiting for his lunch break.
Not good.
No.
Not good at all. David, favorite movies that you had when you were growing up as a kid?
Growing up as a kid, I think I was a huge Burt Reynolds fan.
Ah.
Smoking the Bandit, one of my
Yeah,
favorite movies.
that was great.
Cannonball Run.
Did you ever have that car?
No.
The
Trans Am?
Yeah, the Trans Am. The T-top.
I think we all wanted that car, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was like the guy thing at that point. I want that car. Interesting. And now, with your busy schedule, you're not getting a chance to go out to see a lot of stuff, but you're at those things, those events occasionally too.
Yes.
How do you, what's that kind of like for you? I mean, you're there to protect at a certain time, but sometimes you want to enjoy it, but you can't because it's your job. How do you kind of deal with that?
Well, with our staff, our average staff, and I was just having a conversation about this yesterday. Somebody asked me, said, hey, I have my son, he's 18, he's a big football player, big guy, and can he work for you guys? And I says, well, unfortunately, he doesn't have any experience. I said, being 18, he may have that look, but he's not going to have any experience to draw upon if there's a medical emergency, if there's actually someone that's posing a threat, if there has to be police involvement. You have to have some level of experience, especially with some of the clients we deal with. They pay top dollar for us, so we have to give them top dollar quality people. So, most of the staff that we have, they've been around a long time. They've been used to being in places where there's a lot going on, and what you do is you just stay focused on whatever the mission is. I've been in places where in my career where so much is going on, you almost feel like you're moving in slow motion because there's so many things going on. But at the same time, as you have to stay focused, what is my mission today? Is my mission securing the client? Is my mission securing this event? Is this little section of the event I have to secure? So just staying focused. Just like the actors and actresses that we have in the room, is they go to do a job, they have to stay focused. There's a lot of distractions on sets, but they know their role and they're ready to go.
It's always better if people come to you ahead of time, obviously, but a lot of times I think you're getting them later than sooner. Would that be correct?
A little bit of both. One thing we're doing now, which is kind of a big topic in the West LA area, is open houses. You have these mega mansions that these brokers have open houses. Open houses means pretty much almost anybody can go to an open house.
Right.
Or if it's even a private broker's open house, and, the bad guys, they carry fake business cards. They wear suits like we do. And what they're doing now, we're working with Sotheby's and Hilton and Highland, and they're being proactive. They're not waiting for something to be taken out of their clients' homes. What they're doing, they're hiring security to watch, all levels of the house, to help check in guests, and that way things don't come up missing, because there's been a ton of burglaries in the West LA area. That's kind of been hush-hush. Beverly Hills, Santa Monica.
No one wants to acknowledge those things, do they?
No, and they're not being reported to the police, and mainly clients don't want to report it, and they feel embarrassed. So, but you have teams going around to these open houses, and they're wearing suits, and they're wearing, they're bringing a small little attaché case or something really small, where they're going in drawers, taking high-end jewelry. And it's a quick thing, and people are being left $50,000, $100,000 out on an open house. So some of these clients that get it, being very proactive in our case, in our business, proactive is key.
Wow, that's interesting. I heard about a couple things like that. We might talk about that in a minute when we come back. This is Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More. We'll be right back for our last second. All right, this is Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, at The Cavalier, at Movie Reviews and More, Facebook.com, Brian Sebastian 169. Natalie, Skyy, David Perez, Omega International. Jennifer Henry. Jennifer, talk about what you got coming up. Something for Labor Day, you said.
I'm going to compete Labor Day in Venice. So as for figure. So again.
Is that back at Muscle Beach?
It is at Muscle Beach. It's
Okay.
the final one for Labor Day. It's a little
I
bit
will
more.
be there this time.
Yay,
Nothing
yeah,
bad will happen.
Don't go away on us again. That was a little bit scary.
Yeah, I will be there. That was the one thing I was thinking of. I'm missing her at Muscle Beach.
I was like, who's gonna watch my dog? Obviously, I can't bring my dog. No.
I know. I was supposed to watch your dog while she was competing.
No, right. No. So it's exciting. We'll be there. I'm just trying to. I just finalized and sent a lease on my suite, so just getting that going. So I'm really excited about that. Being able to offer like the salon suite services.
That'd be good.
So
And I like the fact that you actually help a lot of the girls. You're not just there competing too. You really want to make sure that they look
No,
good. And
it's
I
about the
think that's
experience. You know, it's about the experience. You know, and I remember my first show, and I remember not knowing what or where or who or why or, you know, and if it hadn't been for like the 1 or 2 girls out of the 50 girls that were back there that were actually nice and supportive and helpful, I don't know that I would still be doing this. And so I want to be able to, like I said, encourage these girls to be doing this for the right reasons.
Good. All right, what do you got coming up?
Omega.
And the strange thing is that you guys can't say what you're doing half the time.
Yeah, I was going to say when you said that, I was like, because of confidentiality agreements, we can't go into it. But we've got a lot of great things, you know, coming up in the future. A lot of people are becoming more security conscious as we educate. You know, we're doing a lot of training in schools, you know, for the young kids and their teachers and principals, and that's exciting because, you know, we work so much in an environment where, you know, there's always these possible threats, and then you get into a school with these young kids, and it becomes even more personal. Even though we've got to stay detached, but you see these young kids and the teachers, and so you know, that's very close to my heart, and I know David's as well, is that we're able to offer those type of services.
Talk about kids. What's your advice to them?
You know, social media it's not going nowhere, it's taking off, and unfortunately the kids are learning from their peers that are becoming very successful very quickly, and they're making decisions that, you know, are not of a mature level. So kids out there today, you got to be really aware that the people you think you're talking to on the other end of that computer or on that Twitter feed or Instagram aren't always nice people with good intentions. If you keep that in mind, it kind of helps you stay in check a little bit. But unfortunately, I just think it's such a big issue that it's going to require us to, this is going to be an ongoing discussion. But you just got to be careful what you post.
David, talk about, so you guys are going to schools now, right? Is that correct?
Yes, we have a client that's one of our schools, and we're trying to educate some of the schools on active shooting. We're doing active shooting training.
Yeah.
And we found it's kind of, you know, disturbing that the public schools don't have funds for this.
That's right, yeah.
And the private schools, they have money, they get it, but unfortunately it always comes down to budget. And some of these schools just don't have a budget. And schools can be very scary places because they're very dangerous. There's a lot of incidents that occur there, and lately, unfortunately, there's been a lot of active shootings there. And we try to educate our clients and the schools, administrators, you know, and this is a report that came out from the Secret Service and the FBI showing that, you know, the last 20 years, the schools train in fire drills. They're great at fire drills, but how many kids in the last 20 years have died in a fire at school? 0.
Yeah.
Look at active shooting. Look at how many active shooting cases that have gone on in the last 5 years, last 10 years. They're not even reported anymore. They're so common. And majority of these schools do not train in active shooting. And how many kids have died in the last 5 years on school campuses? Hundreds.
Yeah.
And yet these schools aren't training for those. So that has to be part of the training program. You have to do the fire. You have to do the earthquake. Add in there the active shooters, and even with the active shooters, we add a medical component to train the administrators and the teachers that you're going to have a medical emergency. If a kid or a administrator or someone in the school is shot, the medical team, the 911 emergency personnel don't come in right away. They're going to wait for law enforcement. They're going to wait for law enforcement to clear that area before medical teams come in. So at that point, the teachers have to know first aid. They have to have the ability to stop the bleeding right away. They have to use their classroom. When we're in the classroom, we look, okay, they have drapes that can be used as a gauze. They have cords from the phones, use that as a tourniquet. So they do have resources.
And you don't think about that when KS is going on either.
Exactly. So a part of our training is, hey, put the medical first aid kit in your classroom. If you don't have the budget for the trauma kit, then use the resources in your classroom, because the classrooms have a lot of stuff because of the kids. So use what you have, and again, the medical component is you're going to have to be self-contained for a while and make sure that you know that, and you have to train for that, because if you don't, panic ensues and people lose their train of thought and they freeze.
Website again?
OmegaINT.us.
We can never repeat it that many times, can we? Providing peace of mind with a $5, I almost said $5, diamond experience. Tells you where my head is at. Natalie, if you could get any goal or any role and work with any director, what would it be?
I don't know. Oh, that's really hard. That's a good question.
It's a good question because it's going to happen, so that's why I want to know. And putting you on the spot like that.
I don't know. I loved working with some of our directors from our show. I would love to work. But yeah,
Excellent.
Perez. I would love to work with Perez again. I would love to work with Peter Weller again.
Would you direct?
Yeah, totally.
Are you writing right now?
A little bit.
Write more. I think you would have a good eye for directing.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm kind of exploring all the options,
You
keeping it
should.
open.
You should, and that's what I'm saying. It's lacking in Hollywood. All these women and diversity, as we're all finding out. You know, look at the show. You know, I'm the only white guy here, so technically, she's just getting it. It's funny. All right, movies that came out. Oh yeah, I got to talk about my friend's book. I love The Naughty Girl's Guide to Vegas and The Naughty Girl's Guide to Los Angeles. It's actually a really good history genre on things and good things to do as couples, single females, single guys, where to go when you first got here. You'd even going to Vegas, but Sienna Sinclair really goes into the history of how the towns and the cities got started. And I really, really like that. So I'm going to see her tomorrow and maybe do some naughty things and talk about what's going on with the Naughty Girls Guide. And I'm going to have her on the red carpet too, because she loves doing stuff. And she wants to interview, but she loves writing. She loves history, just writing books. So now she's had 2 bestsellers on her own. Who would have known? And they're really, really good reads, so I admire that. So, one thing that people didn't know about Omega before we go. What would you say?
Wow, I don't know that there's that I could say one thing. There's just really so much, but we really want to stress that the more you turn on the news, the more you read the paper, it's very common that things happen. Just on the street. You could be at a restaurant. You could be, could be at your home, and it's not just the celebrities.
Yeah.
And so we work and train to provide peace of mind, so that people can go on, living their lives in a safe, feeling safe. Because ultimately things just aren't, they're going in one direction and they just seem to escalate. So if you are hearing this and you're interested, please visit us on our website at OmegaINT.us. Shoot an email. Dave will respond personally. You can get us by phone personally. We're in it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We never shut down.
And Dave, the qualities, the qualifications, what they have, which is important. We haven't talked about that. What do they need to have?
For staff to be workforce?
Yeah.
Well, we look at people that do have military and law enforcement background does help, but when I look at somebody's resume, I scan through that because that's almost a given, and I look for what type of customer service have they had, what is their background in education. I looked at a resume yesterday, a gentleman who had a stellar career in law enforcement, but the one thing that caught my eye is he had an MBA in strategic planning, and I like that because what we do is very strategic, and for someone to have a mindset like that, to give a client a quality like that is you can't replace that.
And I met a couple of your staff members. I'm impressed with the people that I've met. They're impeccable.
Yeah,
They're really good.
And I think the main quality we get is, do they get the customer service side of it? Can they put on the white gloves? And can they put on the white gloves and be the ambassador? Because we do represent our client's brand. We are brand ambassadors, so we have to make sure that whatever the background is of the person, I like to look at is, can they work at a hotel? And we get asked a lot, where do we get our staff from? And one of our clients asked one, I said, hey, where do you get your staff from? He goes, a local sandwich shop.
Really?
People serve. When you get a sandwich, most of the time you go to a place and the person's pretty excited, they're happy, and you're engaged and they're making your sandwich. And he says, I like those type of people because those type of people are in front of our client, and we need people that are engaged and they're smiling. And we look for the same. Even though sometimes we do have kind of the firm look, we still want that ambassador, that real white glove approach.
Last question real quick. Women. You have some women employed.
Yes.
Talk about that real quick.
They bring a softer approach. They can be very, they can de-escalate a situation probably faster sometimes than men. So women can have a great advantage in our business.
Website, last time.
NatalieSkyy.com, NATALIESKYY.
Dave.
OmegaINT.us.
Jennifer.
Raw Image, RAA Image.
And this is Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More. Thank you for everybody for coming. I think we had a great show, didn't you?
Yes.
I don't want to leave
I
it.
think so.
Yeah.
It was
Keep
good.
going.
We will see you next week. We got more things coming out. It's summer at that point. And looking for the film festival, Hollywood Film Festival, coming up in September. We'll see you next week.
Happy Friday.